Thank you, Biniam. In a lot of ways, the war in Amhara region right now was heavily anticipated, especially following the Pretoria Agreement of November 2022. The peace agreement failed to acknowledge and include one of the primary victims of the war in northern Ethiopia that lasted for about 2 years, and that's the Amhara people. Following this and accompanied by the failure of Abiy's administration to hold the TPLF accountable for the atrocities in Amhara region, failure to stop atrocities in Oromia region by the OLA and other militia groups in the Benshangul Gumuz region. There was growing dissatisfaction towards Abiy's administration by the Amhara people. And it's public knowledge that the war in northern Ethiopia, in the war in northern Ethiopia, the Amhara special forces and the Fano were key in fighting off the TPLF and pushing them back or out of the Amhara region and Afar region and back to Tigray. So in early 2023, when Abiy's administration demanded for the Amhara special forces to disarm, there were widespread protests throughout the Amhara region. This was both internationally and publicly reported. The international I Am Fano protests were also restarted. People took to the streets in support of Fano and the Amhara Special Forces. There were heavy blockades of roads to stop the ENDF from pushing into Amhara towns as well. That was when we saw the first internet shutdown in Amhara region in April 6th. Following that, I would say a lot of Amhara households were mentally preparing to fight and to mourn the dark times we're going through right now. The armed conflict officially started between Fano and the Abiy Ahmed-led ENDF in mid to late summer. On August 3rd, there was an internet shutdown in Amhara region. And on August 4th, Abiy's administration officially declared a state of emergency in the Amhara region and Ethiopia. Since then, there's been several reports of drone attacks that has targeted civilians. The UN spokesperson has estimated at least 183 civilians have been killed during the conflict in Amhara region. Just to give it some examples, there have been like 3 civilian drone attacks that have caused the death of over 50 civilians in Gojam alone. The Amhara Association of America has reported one of the massacres, civilian massacres carried out by the ENDF, specifically in Majete, Efrata Nagadim district in North Shawah zone. Specifically, this district is a district that's been repeatedly attacked by the Oromo Liberation Army for the past 3 years. There's been at least over 7 attacks reported by the Amhara Association of America alone. And this area was also a victim of a joint attack by the OLA and the TPLF in 2021. So these are civilians that have been traumatized and repeatedly re-traumatized in the course of the past 3 years. The specific attack happened on Monday, September 3rd, when the Ethiopian National Defense Forces went door to door massacring civilians in Majete town and the surrounding areas. The attack was followed after the Fano launched a surprise attack on an ENDF base located in the outskirts of town the day before on Sunday. There were at least 33 civilians killed and 13 injured. The Guardian has reported the same incident where they put the numbers at about at least 70 people. Among the murdered, at least 4 were children, 2 were priests, and there were at least 2 were elderly. The attack was also aided by members of the Oromo Liberation Army, which came from a neighboring Woreda located in the Oromia Special Zone. And at least 6 of the civilians that were killed by members of the OLA. The attack, again, was in revenge of Fano's earlier attack. Following that attack, the ENDF forces summoned the remaining residents into a forced meeting. And the ENDF, and an ENDF official, quote, told the residents, if they being Fano, fire one more bullet, we will eliminate you. And since then, we have seen, just following that, on September 5, a video resurfaced of Abiy Ahmed's forces conducting public extrajudicial killings in Godram. We've also been recently seeing videos of concentration camps that have thousands of Amhara detainees. The detainees seem to be in inhumane conditions. And just recently, in September 11th and 10th through 13th, we're seeing footage of several concentration camps where there's been an outbreak of cholera, and the detainees seem to be perishing.